Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us today on another session of We Connects Academy Learning from Women Leaders Around the World series. My name is Andrea, and today I am very happy to introduce Sumitra Goenka. She is the CEO of Infotech India, a company that works under the brand of Triangle Global, and it is a certified company based in India. They are a business leader in the area of IT and services across the globe, delivering world-class solutions on recruitment for over 20 years. In this webinar, you will learn how recruitment industry will be redefined and realigned as per the new post-pandemic world. I'll let Sumitra introduce herself, but I would like to remind all attendees that you're in listen-only mode. So if you have any questions or comments, please write them down in the Q&A box on the GoToWebinar control panel that you will find at the right hand of your screen. We will make sure to read them out loud once the webinar is completed. You can start making questions anytime during the webinar. I would also like to remind everybody that the recording of this webinar will be available after today's session, and it will be emailed to all attendees. It would also be available on our YouTube channel. If you don't follow us on YouTube, please find us under the name of We Connect International. Thank you, Sumitra, for being here with us today. Over to you.
Thank you. First of all, I want to thank We Connect International, Andrea and Chelin for organizing this talk and accepting my proposal to present this important about this important subject, which is disruptive recruitment in the post-COVID-19 scenario. Hi, I am Sumitra Goenka and I am from India. My company is Ratin Infotech India Private Limited, and we are into recruitment and outsourcing, business consulting, and leadership acceleration program. And I am an entrepreneur, and I have been in this business for the past 20 years. Incidentally, on the 3rd of August, I completed 20 years in this business, and it's a great honor to be a part of this forum. And thank you all for participating in this and listening to me. Why did I select this subject? I think today it is a very unprecedented time, and wherever we are, I'm aware that there are participants here in this talk today who are coming from different geographies, whether you are from the United States or UK or India or China or any other country across the world. Everybody is facing a situation together. We all are in this together, and the way we do business is completely changing. There is a disruption, and everyone has to rethink about the business model. And we all know that if you want to run successful businesses, it's not only about profits, but it is also about sustainability. It is how you ensure that your people are together, how you build a great organization, how people derive value from business, and how there is a continuity. Business continuity is one of the main things, and nobody in this world knew in maybe end of January or even during the early phases of February that that disruption would be there in every field of business. And today we all will be suffering from a lockdown and this dangerous situation of COVID-19, where social contact is something which will be prohibited. So this is an unprecedented scenario. Whenever we grow, whenever we meet people, or whenever we go to any seminars or anywhere, we are always told that you build networks, you build relationships, and that's how you grow. But today social contact is being prohibited, and nobody could ever imagine that this situation would last so long. So is it changing? The world is changing, the world order is changing, the disruption is there in every field, and recruitment is not a field which is away from business. Every business has to recruit, every business has to continue its operations, and hence every business has to realign and rethink its business strategies when it comes to recruitment. So it gives me great pleasure that I am able to share some of my thoughts from my experiences and how I am building up my own organization in these times to come. So I would like to once again thank Elizabeth and the entire team at WeConnect for allowing me to do this. When you come and look at the problem statement which is there today, we find as per UN's International Labour Organization, it is predicting that 1.6 billion informal economy workers would suffer massive damage to their livelihoods. And like I said, any and every country today is going to face this, whether it is India or anywhere else in the world. And in the second quarter of 2020, COVID-19 may cost the equivalent of 305 million full-time jobs. Number of people in America filing new claims for state unemployment benefits have totaled 1.43 million in the last week. So all these things, if you look at it, these are unprecedented times. Nobody could ever imagine that this is going to happen. If you look at the numbers of organizations that have lacked facilities to offer work from home option, then 32% of the organization lacked these facilities. And only 25% of all organizations had an IT infrastructure which was already in place. So this is something which many companies were not prepared. Till today also, we will find that because of the sudden lockdown, many companies are suffering because the work from home culture was not there. People did not accept that people could work from home. The change in the mindset is required during these times. 70% of the companies have actually deferred their hiring, and 40% have decreased their hiring budgets. And this is a very alarming trend that is visible, and this is something which concerns us all who are into the recruitment business or people who are working in corporates as recruiters. There are huge layoffs in travel, tourism, hotels, cab and hotel aggregators, HR, recruitment, and also services sector companies, because most of these businesses are suffering because actually the core business is suffering so badly that there are huge layoffs. People are not able to retain their workforce even after 2 or 3 months of lockdown. So there are challenges of availability of workforce due to movement and migration of people. So if you look at India, I think many of the news channels across the world have covered this. The other day I was watching BBC, and I figured that BBC had carried a complete 1 hour session about how workforce mobility, sorry, how migration of people is affecting the job scenario and workforce in a country like India, where there is a huge amount of rural population which migrates to the urban towns and cities, and they add up to the workforce. And today, because of the COVID-19 situation, there is a practical difficulty in retaining these people because they have no employment and they don't know how long they will be able to sustain in the current scenario. And there are practical difficulties in hiring and retaining the team. So if I just sum up on what are the challenges in COVID-19 affected world, because from there I'm going to base my discussion on how recruitment industry per se is getting affected badly. The first thing is how today the challenges which every business is facing is how do we keep our employees and their families safe, because ultimately it is the human beings that matter. No matter how the processes and technologies will aid or support you, but the human beings are the main assets which are there with companies, and every company is today striving to ensure that their employees and their families are safe. Now be it providing safety kits to the people, or making the workplaces much safer. There could be umpteen number of things which these companies are doing. So basically keeping employees and their families safe is a big challenge. Then second is maintaining business continuity and working remotely. Like I said, in February, till end of February, I don't think anybody was imagining that this lockdown could extend so long, and world over the mobility will suffer, and transport and communication will completely take a new definition. So basically maintaining business continuity in this situation is very, very important, and many of the companies are still finding it challenging to gear up to working remotely because they have never done this. Traditionally they have never accepted this, and changing this to working remotely is going to be a big challenge for them. Third is working capital management and receivable and payment cycles. I'm sure everyone must be understanding this, and realizing that today most of the companies, especially the smaller companies, are facing a huge working capital management crisis situation, and the payment cycle and receivable cycles are all suffering across. There are various laws which are coming, especially for countries like India, where the government has also intervened and said that the payment cycle should be honored. So this is a major challenge which each and every company is suffering, and the smaller companies and the what you say in MSME companies, which are the small and medium companies, they are suffering badly due to this. Next is exploring technologies that are cost effective and result oriented. So many companies traditionally who were averse to technologies, or who are using technologies only for limited purpose, are today looking at cost effective technologies and gearing up to exploring technologies which are cost effective. Is also a very tough situation when you have to do it coming out of a crisis. Like today there are challenges in getting the right kind of people, connecting with the right kind of people, and in this situation exploring technologies is also a challenge. But companies have to, find out cost effective and result oriented solutions. The next challenge is training employees and vendors on new business normals. Everywhere the business normals have changed. The how you interact with people, how you interact with your employees, how employees have interpersonal skills, and how they connect with each other. These are new normals which each and every business is dealing with. So this is something which again is a huge challenge, and people have to do this remotely because you don't have physical contact. And again, maintaining effective communication methods. We have seen that many a times, even when people are in physical contact with each other, or they are sitting in the same environment or meeting each other, one to one, there are challenges of communication. But in the COVID period, when everyone is working in a remote environment, I think it is all the more challenging to maintain this effective communication method and to ensure business continuity. So from the point of view of all this, what I have discussed about, many of us are having questions in our mind during the COVID-19 phase. And some of the questions are like, um, how will talent acquisition recover when this is all over? What is the timeline, and what can companies do to face this situation? I'm sure people who have joined this call, everybody has this question in mind. Well, there is no definitive answer to what is the timeline, because we all know that people are working towards developing a vaccine, and lockdowns are also opening phase by phase. But then how do companies face such a situation, and will talent acquisition recover when this is all over? So when you look at the recruitment cycle, it is basically, I have divided the recruitment life cycle into four parts. First is the sourcing and screening. Second is the interview process. Third is the candidate engagement process post interview, and then the deployment and training phase. Each of these phases are important, and each of these phases have one-to-one interaction at some stage. Many companies have already, even before the COVID phase, they have started doing interview process over virtual platforms. But at some stage in these four stages, it is required that the person has to meet one of the HR persons or the recruitment managers, and at one stage from any of the four stages, the person has to meet somebody in the organization. But because of COVID-19 today, I think this particular statement does not hold true. The companies who are even recruiting today, to some extent, are finding it difficult to have this one-to-one interaction at some or the other stage, and all stages have been affected by the COVID-19. So how do we face the situation? And here comes the solutions which I think will help people in this talk session. One is change management, second is innovation, and third is strategy. We have to have a combination of these three things if you want to really make a successful organization in today's scenario. When I talk of change management, I would like to stress upon the fact that Peter Drucker has spoken that the greatest danger in terms of turbulence is not the turbulence, but it is to act with yesterday's logic. So this is a very important statement which I believe in. And if you understand this statement, then you will understand how important it is to change. Your yesterday's logic may be right, but it does not apply to today's scenario because the circumstances has changed and the turbulence is there in the atmosphere. So basically you have to change today because the situations have changed across you, around you, and that is how the entire system has to be re-geared. So first thing you have to realize here is that earlier we used to say that mobility is the world order, but today agility is the new world order. Secondly, business empathy has to be there with business continuity. So how you deal with your people, how you deal with your vendors, this is all very important, and hence business empathy has to be there with business continuity. Decentralization is the key to success in today's world. You have to understand this because earlier if you look at companies who have say strategic headquarters in cities, but today this has to change. If you think of India has said that they want to go for local. That is, the Prime Minister has given a call, vocal for local. So basically, that means that we want to boost Indian industries. We want to hire in India. We want to take strategic decisions in India. So if that is the case, then companies who earlier used to have their decision making process taken somewhere else in some other countries have to now think of decentralization as a key to success in today's world. Many other economies are also talking about the same thing. They are saying that because of COVID-19, the world order is becoming more and more local. You are not relying on other countries for your needs. So basically, in these situations, decentralization is the key to success in today's world. Next is you have to organizations have to rethink on their hiring strategies. The traditional hiring strategy which you are adopting, it may be correct but it needs a rethink because it is very important to understand the current scenario. Does it work the same way that it should have been working otherwise? Coming to the next, you look at adapt to changes in technology and find new solutions. So technology is something which you cannot avoid in today's scenario. If you know about technology, then technology cannibalizes itself. This is very true. So basically, whenever such kind of situations come up, you have to adapt to the changes in technology, and every person in the organization has to use technology. There can be nobody in the organization who can be technology shy or not updated to the technology. So this is something which has to come from the top management, as well as each and every person in the organization has to cooperate and make sure that they also adapt to the latest technology. Now when you talk about the recruitment sector also, you cannot do the traditional recruitment of meeting one to one. So basically you have to adapt to changes in technology and you have to find new solutions. And very important thing is in HR and recruitment, you have to redefine the performance parameters, because in today's scenario, person is working from home. There are severe complications at home sometimes because some of the other family member is affected by COVID-19, or there is a issue as the area is under lockdown. So there may be some practical difficulties, and we have to have empathy and we have to redefine the performance parameters. The earlier parameters which we have defined may not hold true. Next is we have to build an organization on the basis of trust and cooperation, because now people are working remotely. They are no longer in front of you. So basically, whenever you are doing any kind of activity, you have to ensure that trust and cooperation is there amongst each other. Coming to the next point is innovation. Henry Ford had said that if I had asked the public what they wanted, they would have said, they would have said a faster horse. So he is the founder of Ford Motor Company. So innovation is something where you think out of the way. You have to get a solution which is not in existence. You have to innovate. You have to think and develop something new. That is innovation. So today the requirement is to think in those areas, and you have to think out of the box to get a solution. So let us talk about innovation, how you empower recruitment with technology and innovation. So first of all, it is sourcing and screening. Like earlier I told you about the process of recruitment. So first is in sourcing and screening, you have different ways in which you can source and screen, like upgrade using online assessment tools. Like I said, I primarily have worked with a lot of IT companies who have already been using online assessment tools at the screening and sourcing stage. But there are many companies, especially maybe from the manufacturing sector or the other sectors, who may not be using online assessment tools to hire their candidates. So this is something which the all the companies now have to resort to. If you really want to hire people, you have to shift to online assessment tools. Secondly, you have to engage vendors who have adapted to this technology. It is no longer the traditional vendors who can support you. You have to look for vendors who have really changed their business model and who have adapted to the technology. And you have to remember one more very important thing in this business. If you want to sustain, then you have to act fast. Third thing is use of artificial intelligence for screening. Artificial intelligence, I am covering this up in the later part of my discussion also. Now, artificial intelligence is a very new concept, but already we have seen over the last, I think, 5 or 6 years, there has been a discussion about this, and many companies have already started using artificial intelligence for screening, especially for screening some passive candidates, or they have started employing social robots who have started screening of candidates on certain criteria. Now, one thing we have to remember is a lot of work which otherwise becomes very routine or which are very human intensive can be shifted to artificial intelligence in case there is lack of people sitting in an atmosphere in an office. So basically that is how artificial intelligence can be used for screening. Next is social media. Social media is a great enabler, and if used in a correct way, then the company can do a lot of branding about itself, and also they can source good number of candidates, because presence on social media and all the available social media channels is a very, very important thing which all the companies have to adapt to if you want to do real sourcing at a faster pace. And finally, the interactive website. Most of the companies have a very static website, and in today's age where you are not able to really communicate with people, you have to have interactive websites, possibly enabled with chatbots, so that you make it very interactive and people can get real time answers, and you do not miss out on anything. So this is something which is very important, because every company is today facing a challenge of having recruiters sitting inside one particular office, or the managers or the companies are finding it difficult to get a daily update about how things are happening. So in this case, these things in the sourcing and screening criteria will really aid your recruitment process, and this will help you to streamline your process for the sourcing and screening stage. Coming to the next one, which is the interview process stage. The interview process stage is somewhere, like I said, that many companies have already started doing virtual interactions, teleconferencing, cloud data management. We all, during the COVID period, I think majority of the people, whatever age group it may be, right from children, I would say, have started using a lot of conferencing tools and apps. People have started taking online classes. So basically this is a platform which now people have adapted, and this is one of the biggest change which has happened. If you look at India or anywhere else in the world, I think people have adapted to technology, especially the conferencing apps, in a very swift way. So this is something which you can think of doing. Next is we can use CRM to make robocalls and interactions. Here I will give an example of my organization. Here what we do is, when we do mass recruitment drives, and it is impossible to do continuous follow-ups, because many a times we find that there are various no-shows, like people commit that they will go for interviews and then they don't turn up. So here what we do is, we use a very effective CRM tool, and candidates are constantly reminded through a system generated call about the interview and how they can appear for the interview. They are given reminders every 2 days, and also on the day of the interview. And you can actually plan and set up interactive CRM systems. Basically interactive in the sense, it says that okay, if you're not attending, press 1, if you're attending, press 2, if you want to speak to one of our coordinators, you can press 3. So basically you can keep interaction sections also in them, so that they do not become very monotonous, and the companies can effectively handle this. So this generally works when there is a mass hiring drive, or the number of hirings have to be done quickly. So in these cases you can really use these things. One more thing is the mobile app. Every company should gear up and should have mobile apps. These can be developed at a lesser cost also. So it is a cost effective thing, and companies should start using mobile apps. Maybe they develop it themselves, or they can utilize any mobile app, because this is the fastest way of reaching out to candidates and completing the process of interview. Coming to onboarding, if you look at onboarding again, where personal interaction is done at a higher level, because when you do onboarding, you do online you do documentation, and there is a lot of engagement there at that level to make the candidates comfortable. There is a lot of training also which happens initially. So onboarding is a long process where AI and chatbot driven processes can be put up. Virtual onboarding and engagement strategies are the need of the hour, and online documentation is something which we should look at. So these three things have to be taken care of. If your organization is not yet geared up to take care of these things at these three stages, then you are really not up to the mark in today's scenario, and this will be the new normal in the upcoming days. So all organizations should really gear up towards this, and all recruiters also should understand the technologies which are there in this area, so that they are also employable, and they know that these are the things which are there and which can help them to make the process faster, the hiring process faster. So one very important thing which I was speaking about is, will artificial intelligence and technology disrupt recruitment? So AI solutions are available to streamline our sourcing process while conducting wide instantaneous search for potential candidates for professional portfolios or social media. And here even passive job seekers are looked into. When you look at any job portal, we are looking at only active job seekers. But the AI intelligence, AI or artificial intelligence has the capacity to look at even passive job seekers. So this is a benefit which recruiters can get. Secondly, the conventional screening and shortlisting, which a human intervention is there. It takes a lot of time, and it is a very frustrating process also. And AI provides a very promising solution to facilitate the applicant's assessment process. And like I said, chatbots are a smart solution that automate the time consuming tasks such as screening and assessment. So AI has got solutions here. And the next question comes up is, will AI then take over the job of recruiters? Now, one thing we have to realize, that similar to other jobs, recruitment will also be not safe in the automation area. You have no option. Your organizations have to work and move towards the AI way, whether it was COVID or non-COVID. But with the onset of COVID situation and the restrictions on meeting people and maintaining the social distancing, I think AI is something which we cannot avoid. Now, there are a lot of social robots who evaluate applicants' emotional and cognitive behavior based on verbal and non-verbal variables. More innovative human machine integration at intuitive and empathetic intelligence level will evolve, and however the human touch will always be needed. So that is what various researchers have shown, that AI will be there, and the time consuming jobs may be offloaded to AI, but the recruiters can focus on strategic work, and human touch will always be needed. You cannot ever leave the entire process of recruitment to AI. AI will be aiding you, helping you, but AI cannot really, offload all your work. It can help offloading the time consuming and frustrating jobs, but wherein recruiters can focus on more strategic work, and they can have more they can be engaged where more human touch is always required. And this is something which will be the new normal henceforth. Now coming to the third part, which is strategy. Strategy in a crisis, a previously approved strategy could very well be less realistic today due to reduced execution and capacity in your organization. So everything may be right, and everything may be going on right till maybe February. But today, the same everything which was going right may not be happening properly because the execution capacity in the organization has changed. The people matrix might have changed, the work conditions have changed, the environment conditions have changed, and situations have changed, not because you have changed it, but because there is a complete disruption in everything that is existing. So because of that, a existing strategy which would be well thought out and well previously approved may also have completely become obsolete, or because you don't have execution capacity. So coming to the next slide, which is about strategies in recruitment. So when you look at recruitment, I think the strategy will change in the following ways. First is you have to blend your workforce. Some companies earlier were not doing hiring for contractual people, or they were, but now today you have to have a very correct mix of contractual, permanent, and trainees and campus hirings. You have to plan it out. It cannot be very random. Earlier it was well defined, or people used to have a fixed target that okay, I want to hire 100 people, 40 will be contractual, 60 will be permanent, and or 10% will be campus hirees. So now you have to really look ahead and plan it out, as to because the situation is changing and businesses are no longer having a very long forecasting plan. So basically accordingly you have to map your resources, and accordingly you have to plan your resources. Secondly, when you hire in recruitment, you have to make sure that persons who are fitting more than one role. So basically we need adaptable and flexible workforce, and also people who have flexibility and skill set and learning mindset. So when you're hiring, you have to see that the person is employable in more than one roles, because you are ultimately looking at flexibility. Third is forecast. A recruitment manager has to really forecast. Companies have to nearly plan in advance what the future demands are. You have to work out the new roles, cut down on the redundant roles, and for this you have to use data analytics and predictive analytics very effectively, and that will help you to forecast in the right way. Next is geographies. We need to have offices in smaller towns as mobility is completely disrupted. Like I said earlier, when you talk about India, there were a lot of people who were based in rural India who used to come to urban or semi-urban areas to work. But today they have all gone back to their hometowns, and they have gone back to smaller cities and towns. And now we have to actually relocate people, actually relocate companies. So I will give you a very good example of whom about I know. In Punjab, there's a province in India called Punjab. There was a factory who used to hire people of a particular skill set, and these people were hired from a province called Bengal. It's a state called Bengal. So this is about 2000 kilometers away. Due to COVID, all the people relocated to Bengal, and when the company again wanted to hire the people, what they did is they approached the people in Bengal, but nobody was able to relocate again to Punjab. So the company itself changed its office from Punjab to Bengal. They went where the people were. So this is a new change. So you have to redefine your geography. You have to think about it. Like, are you required to have an office only in a city, or do you want to go back to area from where you are hiring your candidates? So this has to be revisited. Next is the cost efficiency. So earlier we used to see that uh, people used to have big offices, and also the cost of offices used to be very exorbitantly high. But today we are seeing that people are shifting to flexi office spaces instead of committed pulse offices. The second thing is the cost of delivery will also make a huge difference. How are you actually delivering in terms of recruitment? What are the modes of hiring? Like, are you outsourcing or are you looking out for internal hiring? And you cannot assume here that outsourcing is the only way to reduce cost. Most of the times companies make a very wrong assumption that when you outsource, then it is costlier option compared to internal hiring. So you need to really re-look into all these things. You have to plus redefine the terms and conditions with your existing partners and identify if there are any operational gaps. So this is what you have to do to ensure that your recruitment strategy is working fine. Next is the corporate branding. This is very important in today's age, like I earlier said about social media. So how company is handling COVID-19 situation, that could be a very important thing about social media, which you can project in the social media. Recently, a large company, I don't want to name the company, but a large company here, it's an MNC, it had given a raise to its employees in spite of the COVID-19 situation. So this created a very positive image about the company. Some other employers have said that layoff is not the solution, and it was highly projected in the newspapers and social media. So these are things which will automatically help you to brand your company in a positive way. So these are certain things which the recruiters should take a lead, or the recruitment team and the recruitment manager should take a lead, and they need to explain this to their top management so that recruitment can continue to happen in an effective way. So if you look at some visible trends in the past few months, I would say we have seen some sectors witnessing a jump in hiring, like it's e-commerce, healthcare, telecom, pharmaceuticals, food processing, artificial intelligence, robotics, etc. And there are some sectors which are witnessing a decline in hiring. In fact, information technology has seen a decline in hiring, and it is expected that it is going to raise up by the end of this year, but still it is a projection. Travel and tourism definitely is one of the worst affected sectors. We have seen so many layoffs in this sector. Manufacturing, automobiles, housing and real estate again has taken a very big hit. Textiles has taken a very big hit. So this is just a brief idea. There could be more areas which can be taken care of. So one thing which is very clear here is digital transformation is the key to success, and companies that change may survive, but companies that transform will thrive. This is something which is very important, and we have to understand this. So my entire presentation, what I spoke about is how recruitment scenario will change, and companies that change will survive, but companies have to really ensure that they transform and rather than changing, because today what is required is transformation, and digital transformation is the key. You cannot escape digital transformation, you cannot escape the use of technology, and the companies who adapt to this change the faster, they will be sustaining in the long run. So that's all I have from my side. Thank you so much. Over to you. Andrea, are you there?
I'm sorry, I was on mute. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. I'm done with my presentation. I can take up a few questions if anyone has any questions.
Yes. I think your contact information, can you, it's right there. I have some questions asking how can they contact you? Is email the best way?
Yes.
Awesome. Please feel free to contact Sumitra over email. Her phone number is also there, and also take some time to check her website. We have a few questions here, so I'm gonna read them out loud so that you can answer them. What do you think about assessments, doing ability and personality assessments in the recruitment process? Is that recommended by you and your experience?
Yes, I think assessment process, especially the personality, is required, but they cannot be generic. Basically, it totally depends upon what kind of job is a person applying to, and what is the role and responsibility. I think where the assessment really doesn't work is that it's a very common assessment which is generally given to many of the people, so that is something which doesn't work. Assessment, when we do an assessment of personality, it has to commensurate with the job role and responsibilities. That is very important.
Okay, thank you. For all the people who are asking about the presentation and the recording will be available tomorrow. We will send in a follow-up email, and it will also be uploaded on our YouTube channel. If you don't follow us yet, please do so by under the name of We Connect International on YouTube. And this is the moment when you can make questions. If you don't know how to do that, on the control panel at the right hand of your screen, there's a tab that it's for questions. So you can type them down, and Sumitra will answer all your questions. So please take your time right now to type down all the questions that you have about the webinar and Sumitra's experience. Can you please share with us, how are you keeping the human personalized approach whilst using the technology available?
Can you just repeat the question?
Yes, and let me forward this to you so that you can also read it. And question 2, Sumitra. Sorry, I'm trying to do this. Perfect. So this is from Deidre. I hope I pronounced that name well. Thank you for that really good presentation. Can you please share with us, how are you keeping the human personalized approach whilst using the technology available, all the technology that you just mentioned?
Right. Yeah, so basically, see, the thing is, technology is something which is an enabler. Like I said, you cannot really avoid being in contact with the people. People are your asset, and any organization cannot work without respecting people, their emotions, and organizations cannot be run on the basis of technology. But technology can enable organizations to effectively perform. So how we do is, like, we also depend a lot on technology, but technology is something which is helping my recruiters. So how does it help? So generally, when we do mass recruitment, it is very inhuman for me to ask my recruiters to say make 200 calls a day to the candidates, because I have to commit to a target of lining up say 50 candidates. So because I want to ask 50 candidates if they want to go for an interview, I have to make 200 calls. And if I have to make so many calls, you can understand the amount of tiredness or the energy drain that the recruiters will have. So basically, here what I can do is I can automate the system. I can use a CRM system to actually aid my recruiters. So technology is very important to help the recruiters, and the recruiters can then do their jobs very properly, because they only get the responses, and they can connect with only limited number of candidates who are really interested for this particular job. And it saves on time, it saves on effort, it saves on their energy. So in this way, what I can do is I can ease the work of my recruiters using the technologies available. So that is how I can answer this. I hope I have answered you right.
Thank you. And if you have a follow-up question, Deidre, you can type it down here as well, or you can just connect with Sumitra as well. Another question from Jiti Dar. I hope that I also pronounced that correctly. As an employer, shouldn't we be focusing at this moment on the mental health of the staff? These would be used as a yardstick for employee engagement. Do you agree with that, Sumitra? What is your recommendation?
Yes, absolutely. See, like I said initially in my presentation, that today each and every person, wherever in the world they are facing a situation of uncertainty with whatever data analytics, predictive analytics we have. Nobody could, predict that this will be the kind of disruption. So many people are living in uncertainty. Many people have lost their jobs, and even those who have their jobs today are also living in a very uncertain situation. They don't know what is going to happen next and how their companies are going to react, and neither do companies know like how are they going to react down the line in a month or two, because everybody is taking 15 days at a time. So this really affects the mental health. The conditions are very different, because yesterday everybody was sitting in office and working. They were meeting people in a very different kind of an environment, and today people have to work from home. There are situations at every person's home which may not be the same. Like I may have a different kind of family environment at my place. Somebody else may have a different kind of family environment, and people are literally locked down in this situation where they cannot meet up with people or interact with people or speak with people. So here I think the role of employers becomes very important to understand what actually are their employees going through, how is the situation at their home, and how can employers help the employees. Sometimes the employer may be also in a financial stress and may not be able to help financially to an employee because of the current situation. But yes, they have to take care of the employee in the way that they can assist the employee to get a new job if possible, or talk to the employees and see if um, they are under any kind of mental stress, and they can talk to them, they can sort it out. It totally is a emotional bondage that has to be triggered at this point of time. So it definitely is a very good question, and I think many of the employers have also started doing this of late. And they are trying to reach out, because reaching out is very important today, so that you can establish and keep the relationship alive, and also you can nurture, or you can take care of the asset that is the human resource.
Great, thank you. Working from home is the new norm. Extended working hours, expectation, management needs to be focused. How do you well, I think I don't understand these questions, Judith. I thought that it was a follow-up question, but I can get back to that one if you can explain more. Let me go to the next one. What would you recommend for all the small businesses, startup companies that are in this webinar listening in? You have recommended a few best practices and systems, and what would you recommend for those? What can they implement? What could they take of all these amazing things that you have shared?
See, startups definitely have a advantage that when you start, you are not really doing something in a traditional way. So when you start up, or you're in the early stages of business, there is a lot of scope to change your practices, the way you perform. So startups have an advantage that they can select any technology, or they can redefine their processes very fast, because that is something which will enable them to move ahead in a very focused way. And there are no blocks, because generally change management is one of the main things which I spoke about also in my presentation. And the resistance to change from a traditional business model to a new business model, because of what COVID is bringing today, is something which is many one of the biggest challenges which organizations are handling today. And if organizations are not able to handle the change management properly, then many organizations are going to fail, because that is where it is going to get difficult. So startups have an advantage, and they can adapt to the new processes in a much easier way. Regarding small companies, I do understand, because I am also from a small company. I am from an MSME sector, and there are umpteen number of challenges whenever you think of changing your technology. You want to do a lot, but you don't have the available funds available, or you don't have the people available who can implement the technologies. So you can start small, you can gradually take care of things. first of all, you need to prioritize, like which segment are you in, and what is your most important challenge. Like, are you facing challenge in the screening area, or if I'm talking about recruitment here, if you are facing a challenge in the screening area, or if you are facing a challenge in the interviewing skills, or what is your key area where you are finding it difficult, or is it in the area of maintaining a team? So basically you have to prioritize, and then you have to select the available technologies. There are various technologies available in the market which are not that expensive, so you can gradually upgrade yourself depending upon your funds availability. But I think it is very important to prioritize and then act on it if you are a smaller company.
Got it. Thank you. So I got a better explanation of that topic you were talking about. Uh, the employer should be enabling the employee to have a smooth working from home environment, technology, internet, working hours. This pandemic has changed, the way we're thinking. Is there anything else that an employer can do to support this process?
See, I think it is a tough situation even for the employer today. It's not just that the employee is suffering, but even the employer is suffering today, because it is something new, and they also have to incur a huge cost, because they are, making the environment conducive for an employee to work from home. So basically, I think employer also needs to see, like somebody talked about the mental health. I think that is something which they need to see. They need to ensure that there are more group interactions also, so that the employees do not feel that they are working in a very silo atmosphere, or some they are away from the core group of the organization, because the working environment in the office is something which is different. You interact with a lot of people, and there is always a very informal as well as a formal approach. Whereas here, you do interact, but it is only through calls, or through video conferences, which may not be a very suitable way in which they can express their opinions or something. So there are 2 3 things which happen. I think the mental health gets affected. Secondly, if there are any grievances which are there, then the employer should ensure that the grievance mechanism is very strongly done. Third thing is the roles of each and every person has to be redefined, and also the performance matrix has to be changed, because this is something which will not remain the same as it was during the pre-COVID phase. Today, if the employer expects the same results coming from an employee, then it will be a very harsh thing. So the employer needs to relook into it. Next thing is the employer also needs to understand that the employee is working from home, and there will be some other situations at home. So he needs to respect the time of the employee also, and accordingly build up a flexi timing model according to how the employer and employee can mutually decide. These are certain things I think which needs to be done from the employer side more than anything else.
So that means that shouldn't the employer be focusing on productivity rather than working hours?
Um, well, I can't give answer to that. See, because if you think from my point of view, I would also look at a working hours. But at the same time, productivity is very important. But I have to redefine the productivity. Like, I can't expect the same results from an employee that the person was doing in the past as on today. So I need to redefine that, and it is very important for me to understand that and accept that it is a reality now. So productivity is very important today, and definitely working hours can be flexible, I would say.
Got it. Let's see if I can maybe rephrase this question because I don't understand it very well. Let me go to the next one. What can you recommend to boost employee engagement in a time when traditional team building events or exercises cannot be used? What have you've seen in the industry that you work on, Sumitra?
Okay, so like I rightly said, employee engagement is something which was earlier done face to face, and many a times employees and employers connected in a better way because of employee engagement. but today this is not possible. And like in my organization, what I did was, when there was a lockdown, after that I had a program where I requested my employees to come out with training programs on the basis of their experience. So this is something which they started doing. If they worked with me for say couple of years, then I told them to make a presentation on their their experiences, their learnings, and how those experiences can help the youngsters, or how those experiences can help the new joiners, or the people who have not spent so much time in the organization. Similarly, the people who had recently joined, who were new joinees, say about 2 or 3 months in the organizations, I told them to make a presentation about certain skills which they were focusing on, and make a a kind of a study material for the fresh batch who would be joining me. So basically, that is how I kept them engaged. Secondly, in my organization, we are conducting leadership sessions every Saturday. So all employees can join that particular session, and here we have leaders from different organizations, different sectors, different fields, who come and speak for an hour, and that is how they keep the morale, it helps to keep the morale high for the employees and others, like my customers and other partners who are there. So we engage in this way, and this is something which we are doing for the last 2 months now. So this is how we have initiated this process. And also, effective communication is very important. So many a times we see that if the employer may be in some kind of a trouble, or the employer doesn't want to continue the services of the employee, or there is a situation, it may be a tight spot the employer is in, he discontinues the communication. I think communication is the key to keep the employee engaged, because in the stage of uncertainty, you have to take care of the resource in a better way. You have to keep the communication channel on. It has to be very effective, and the empathy has to be there. This is very important. And there could be also suggestions taken from the employee on how they can enhance the business, how they leadership comes from the grassroots level. At this time, you cannot have a top down approach here, but you have to get ideas from all levels of your organization. And a successful organization can only become sustainable if we get ideas from across the table. So that is what every employer has to remember, and keep the employees engaged so that they become more participative in their approach towards the organization.
Very interesting. Thank you, Sumitra. And the last question I think we can cover for today. Let me see, how can I phrase this? Now that people, because people are able to work from home, people are leaving the big cities, and some people have moved to their hometown. How can employers attract talent? Should they see this differently? Should they continue to be looking for people in that, city where the company is based, or how they should see this challenge that a lot of cities are living now?
Yes, it's a very good question. I think that is somewhere recruitment has to get redefined. Like I said, that in the case of India, I gave an example also, that a person, employer in Punjab actually went 2,000 kilometers away, and he went to the area where the employees were from, and he set up his business at that area. So basically, I think a rethinking on that has to be done, because first of all, if you look at the office space cost in the cities, the cities is somewhere, you pay exorbitant rent, whereas in the less smaller towns and the villages, where your actual resources come from, if you are able to relocate to these areas, and in the age of information technology, with proper broadband connectivity and all the other technology availability, it is not a very difficult task to establish a organization in a new area. So this is definitely that needs a rethink, because the pattern which is seen right now is people do not want to move away from their hometowns. People want to stay with their near and dear ones. And if you really want to relocate to such areas, then one more benefit is that probably the resource will be available at a much economical rate compared to how you get the person in the city, because in the city the resource also has to spend on his rent and other expenses, whereas in the hometowns they do not have those expenses. So if you look at it, then it could be a new norm which is coming through. And especially in the case of India, I can tell you that rural India is actually fueling the growth of the Indian economy as on date, and many companies are relocating to smaller towns in India, and that is how the growth is fueling. So we will be seeing a lot of recruitment which is happening actually in the rural areas or in the semi-urban areas compared to the big cities, because the density of population also in big cities is so high that people generally do not want to come back and stay in that high density zone, because there you are more prone to such kind of pandemics.
Of course. Yeah, it is so interesting. Thank you so much, Sumitra. This has been very
Thank you.
enlightening. Uh, so many insights. I hope this was very helpful for all of you companies, company business owners who are struggling to keep your talent up to date and motivated and keep on recruiting the best of talent. I think this has been great and this has been recorded. So if you were not able to join earlier, if you missed some parts, you can always go back to the recording. It's going to be sent to all attendees and absentees over email tomorrow, but it will also be available on our YouTube channel. So please follow us on YouTube. Sumitra, thank you so much for your time and all your amazing insights that you have shared today. I really hope that you can stay in touch with many of the people that have joined. I think this pandemic is really opening a lot of opportunities to do business from around the world with people that are not even in your region. So I really hope this webinar contributed to that. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure to speak at this platform, and I thank WeConnect team, and I thank all the people who have joined in. You can connect with me on the email which I have shared with you. Thank you so much. I hope it was a
Thank
helpful
you
session.
so much. Have a great day or night, everybody.
Yeah, thank you. Take
Goodbye.
care. Bye.